I'm live. I did. Hopefully it's working. Do I know how to share this? I don't. Let me see. YouTube. I can't figure out how to share the link. There we go. There. Oh my god, it's working.
It's working! Yay!
It was showing me nobody or anything, and I was like, okay, guess I'll just be here and just, I don't know. Where's David? David, baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I made it. I did it. I'm really excited. Thank you all so much. I'm just a boomer. What can I say? It's working. Love it. Whenever David, can you share the link with David? Are you able to?
Yeah, let me.
Hold on. Thank you for the things. I don't know what I'm doing. I think as we all have found out. Also, I just saw someone comment on one of my Doug Wilson videos that was like, we should talk about your education. All right, let's talk about it. Hello, Scott Duke. How are you? I don't know what's happening. Yes, I can see the chat. I am super sticker through our eyes. Thank you. I wish that I had a fucking clue what's happening. A for effort. I promise I'm gonna get better at this at some point. This is why I do TikToks. 1 minute, can't fuck it up. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can fuck up a minute.
That's true. To bring down bigots on multiple social media platforms. In the words of the Apostle Paul, catch these hands, you know? Amen, my brother in Christ. Nitty, thank you. I don't know what's happening. I do want to talk to David about Isaiah 53.
Okay, how do I need
Thanks, Josh.
Do a new one. David. Wait, I thought we were mutuals.
Oh wait, I just need the StreamYard link, and then I have never felt.
What am I? Mutuals.
Such a fucking nerd. No, it's fine. I just need to find the StreamYard link because I'm mutuals with him on Facebook.
Okay, so you're in StreamYard right now, right?
Who knows? You know, not me.
A web browser.
Sure, but how do I invite the guest? Do I just send him the? God, this is embarrassing.
So you're gonna click up at the link, the StreamYard link, and you're gonna copy it, and then you're gonna paste that into the message.
I feel like the boomer boss that's like, how do I attach this PDF? Someone please help. That's me. Hold on. Let me find her. David McDonald's. Did that work? Oh my god.
I think we're mutuals on Twitter, so I can try.
I did it. I sent it to him, so he should let me in. I'm trying. Okay. We have no moral grounding and no morals whatsoever. You would know. You know, Doc? Good night. Good night, Hammurabi's. but most especially Jasper. That fat little chunky baby. This is my adult. Oh, what's up, Derek? Hi. Oh, that was twinning. Hi. Thank you for being here. Oh, my heart.
Do you want to hop on?
Anybody? I probably can't send you a link because I'm a boomer, but somebody can.
Okay. Do you want me to just put it in the chat?
Yeah, whatever. I feel like everyone here, if they want to hop in, they can. And like, yeah. Girl, I don't know. I'm going to probably close this door though, because I feel like, yes. Are you not coming in? We have Isaiah 53 to talk about in extreme detail.
Ooh.
Apologia is supposed to be hopping in at some point, but apparently he's sitting around a fire somewhere.
Well, now you have to definitely have to come on, Derek. I'm just kidding. I respect your marriage.
I respect your marriage. All right. David, what are you doing, please? All hail the queen. Shane, what's up? Hello, 420. Blaze it. Just kidding. Oh, put a shirt on. Yes. I mean, no nudity on this channel, please. At least not this early.
Give her a couple of hours and a couple bottles of wine.
No, we're not drinking this evening. Except for this spindrift.
What's up?
There he is. What's up? Let me close this door so I'm not just screaming about Isaiah 53.
I don't know why. Like, I am not a proper person. I have never taken a like etiquette course, but sometimes when I'm drinking soda, I'll like have my pinky out. Like, I can't even fucking show you.
It's because you're classy.
But I don't have a classy bone in my body, I promise.
Right.
Really, any of you that want to hop on and like just do a little chit chat, please do. Quite literally, I have no idea what's happening. So
I have someone who wants to meet you.
I'm not talking.
Is it your dog? Please give me your dog.
Dog?
Oh my god. The beagle.
Manny.
Manny.
Beautiful.
I love him. I want to squish his face like aggressively.
Hello. What are you doing?
My dumbass dogs are just over here. Like, I don't even know what they're doing.
Stinky breath.
Oh my god, he's killing me. I'm dead. Dead, I say. How old is he again? Sorry.
One, just over one.
Just over one. All right. Okay, hold on. I'm pulling my.
I've got the Bible that I use through ministry college, and you can see I didn't know this. This wasn't planned. I pulled it open to Isaiah 53, and you can see the text there. And I've driven it, and I put brackets around it, and then written Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
if that isn't evidence, what is?
I mean, it says it right there. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
So no one tell. Okay, we're not letting godless girl in ever, so she can just fuck off into the sun.
Who's godless girl?
Like, ban. Bye-bye. She was the girl. I don't know if you guys watched The Line when I hosted it with Josh, and she called in and was like, I'm like, she was like trying to fight with me on like, well, I'm a deist, like what about apologetics, like how can you say this? And I've come to learn is just interested in like trying to like pick fights, and I told her to fuck off and then just hung up on her. And ever since then she's been trying to like, she's like made a clip about me on YouTube to like her 4.5 followers. And then
that sounds like right up your alley. Like, you love fighting people as well.
Girl, get a life.
You guys can fight each other.
But like, she fights people who are bigots, like not just people who are dumb.
Yeah.
Well, this is person that just wants to like yell louder than me, and like I sincerely don't give a shit. Like, I will starve you out. Enjoy that. Because that's what she wants is attention, right? So it's like, get it from someone else, not from me. Moving right along. Jason Jacoby, thank you so much. Hi, Pat. You want to come in? Want to hop in and talk about Isaiah 53? No? Okay, great. I get confused when I see my name pop up with a StreamYard link, and I'm like, I didn't send that. And then I realize that everyone has the same login. That's great. Anyway,
it's just me, your producer, your phantom producer.
Yeah. So let's get back to the proof for Jesus. Oh, wait, let's let Nitty in.
What's proof for
Hey,
Jesus?
guys.
Oh,
Shirt
Nitty.
on. What up?
Yes.
Hello. You ready to talk about? I sincerely don't even know what we're going to talk about anymore. I thought it was Isaiah 53, but at this point, it's just a party.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I used to use Isaiah 53 to keep myself a Christian, so I'm game.
Dude, sincerely, I used to be like, how in the world could you not believe when Isaiah 53 is so clearly speaking about Jesus?
Oh, I mean,
Even if it is,
And then I,
though,
like,
even if it was
met a
like the gospel,
Jewish person.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
Right.
But like, let's say the best apologist comes in here and he proves to us conclusively that Isaiah is actually talking about the Gospels.
Yeah,
Or no, the
can't,
Gospels
though.
are the Gospels are. Let's say that is the case. Let's hypothetically, the Gospel writers knew Isaiah 53, so even it doesn't prove anything. They could have written in the stories to.
So I need to find this book. It's called Helping Jesus Fulfill Prophecy. And it talks about exactly that, how the authors of the gospel like sort of read backwards into shit, and that's how you see it. I don't remember the exact verse, but it's like it's like when he rides into Jerusalem on like a donkey and like I don't remember what it is, some other animal, right? And it's like two things, and it's like
double
dog. Exactly, like there's not it's impossible. Also, like if you so I don't listen, I'm not an expert in Hebrew. However, I do happen to know, I would say a few people who are. And
doesn't Daddy Bowen doesn't he read Hebrew?
Daddy Bowen
certainly does. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
Josh,
okay, cool.
Are you still in here?
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's gone to bed.
He just texted me. Yeah. So
one time I was tweeting something for a promotion for Andrew's book, and autocorrect changed attorney to attorn daddy. Oh my god, no.
Oh my.
Just a side note on the daddy mummy thing. I love it so much. I don't know why. I've been running around calling I'm like, sup mummy to Amy. She's like, don't do that. Don't call me mummy. Like,
never call me that again, ever.
Yeah.
It's
So good.
It's really
I want a divorce.
to like call my friends like daddy or mommy, but like I fucking hate it. Like the origin of it is like so weird. I just will never.
Is it in Isaiah by any chance? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This is what atheists do. They all say daddy and mummy.
Actually, Heathen Queen. It's actually Levit. It's where does Lot sleep with his daughters?
Genesis 19, I think.
Genesis 19.
I don't know. Lot is a problem for me personally.
I agree.
Yeah, and I hope for other people as well.
Sugar
but
Daddy Bowen. I don't think he's a
like
daddy.
Psalm
I kind of view that as
our daddy who is in heaven. Hallowed be thy name.
Dude,
Sorry.
I think I told you that like the pastor, the church that I grew up in, the pastor would start off the prayers with Abba, Abba, which means daddy, daddy.
Oh, yeah. There's a Planet Shaker song I used to listen to, and when I first listened to it when I was a Christian, it was too much for me. And they say, Jesus, I'm in love with you. And I was like, ooh. And I remember thinking to myself, that's way too far. The in love, not love you. I'm in love with you. But then, by the end of like my Christian journey, I was like, I'm in love with you. Like I was totally okay with it. I was totally okay with loving Jesus, being in love with Jesus.
You were like Song of Songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I
remember people are starting to get the Paul Rudd thing. Because when I started saying this, nobody got it. Everyone was just like, what are you talking about? He doesn't look like Paul Rudd. And I'm like,
he does. What can I say? I think that so I have to like speak this traumatic memory in case anyone else might have it. I don't know, it might just be me, but there was a time in my evangelical weird ass kinky upbringing where it was like, Jesus is your boyfriend and you should read Song of Solomon to like see the love he has for you. And it's like, dog, what the fuck? Like, I don't want Jesus thinking about me in any of those terms. And I also don't want to ever think about Jesus in any of those terms. Because also he's supposed to be my dad. Like, are y'all well? Like, no, like fucking unhinged bullshit.
Well,
No,
yeah.
he's your boyfriend and the father and the brethren
your
and all
friend.
this. It's like the Trinity, like his, it's like the Trinity arguments that William Lane Craig or someone might use. It's the same concept.
Yeah, it's like it's all this thing, but it's also all that thing, and these two things are contradictory, but also like don't worry about it. It's like totally normal and fine, but it's also like fully at odds.
So, I do want to bring up one thing here, because it says here that Lot's daughters raped him. Has anyone else had a problem with that passage? Because like they're locked in a cave, so I don't know where he got all of this alcohol to just be like really drunk, right? But like, what is more realistic? That like two girls were like, I'm gonna get my dad hammered and I'm gonna get him knocked up because all the men are gone, or that a guy like raped his daughters?
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, whether or not if historically it actually happened, or if someone made up a story about two daughters raping their dad. Michael.
So one of the themes that runs through Genesis, actually, it's like a sub is that women are like the source of problems. So like you have.
I mean, that runs through everything
forever,
right?
In Heathen Queen's case, it's true.
That, right? It's like
I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be the whole problem. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going for.
But it just goes Eve, Sarah, who's after that? Rebecca plays favorites. Leah, Hagar, and then let's see.
I'm trying to be jail. You feel me? Like I'm gonna put that
Yeah,
nail.
then at least
like full stop.
Problems. She gets assaulted, and then daughters are the problem, and then it just goes on and on.
Feminine icons in the Bible are Jael and Vashti.
Yeah. So the other thing that I think that people miss that I learned when I was talking with Alexandria Fry, I think her name is Alexiana. Jeez, I'm so sorry. I love you, Alexiana. I have a terrible memory. Love you. She talks about how Esther effectively was just like the person who the king liked having sex with the best. And like it's like we all think of this as like, I don't know what we think she did. Like she went in there and like, I don't know, did something, right? We like, what do we think it is? Like we don't know. Like the fuck, what it was like to get down. You feel me? Like
somebody.
Yeah. What is it from Brooklyn Nine-Nine? When she's like, we're gonna bone down.
I mean, if that was a subject matter of sermons, I'd be more inclined to go back to church,
Right.
Well, it's like a lot
I'll go to a church.
Like the whole thing of like Ruth covering or sleeping at Boaz's feet, and like feet was an innuendo. Like when I grew up and I reread it, I was like, oh,
I love a foot fetish.
She laid down on the threshing floor, baby.
She's let me get in there. Let me uncover those toesies.
It would be interesting
too.
I wonder if anyone has done like a study on foot fetishes throughout ancient. Like, I wonder if that's like a new thing, like with internet porn, or if that's like always been there.
Okay,
it's never a new thing. It's never a new thing.
It has been a long time since there's been an Unholy Trinity episode, but I just want to like message Andrew and be like, foot fetishes in ancient civilization, and he'd be like, let's go.
He would. I called him today but he's at a work conference, so I'm like, fine,
I mean,
mind your own
sure.
business then. Like, whatever. In any event, yes. So I've seen like both sides of this sort of like debate, and like, of course, I want to side with the like, that's weird and sexual, because like, of course I do. Like anything in the Bible that I can make like believe is weirder than I thought it was, like hell yeah. Like that's what I'm here for. But it is interesting to see like sort of both sides of this argument where it's like, oh, it's this innuendo, and the other people are like, no way, it's just uncovering the feet.
I'm
Sometimes
sure.
the foot's just a
Do
foot.
they need to sleep with a fan on? Like I don't understand what's happening. Like it's like too hot under the covers, too
didn't
cold
wear
outside the
pants.
covers.
They wore like gown-like garbs, even the men. So like uncovering the feet is like playing fire truck. Like, are we stopping? Are we stopping?
I sincerely love listening to like Christian like macho men today talk about like what's manly and what's like not, and then I'm like, your savior wore a fucking dress.
Oh no, you know
Like
that
he wore a dress. Sorry,
yeah,
he did.
I'm not sure if anyone caught the episode I did with AJ Atheist Jr. about Matt Powell and Ken Hovind, but man, there was a clip I didn't get to show, but it was the funniest clip I've ever seen of Matt Powell. He's running around, you know Matt Powell, the hate preacher Matt Powell.
I hate him so much. Yes.
Yeah, he's running around and he's like talking about how atheists dress a certain way, and he's like telling you to man up, but he does it like this. He goes, "Why don't you man up? Man up!" And
No,
I'm
wait,
like, really?
You guys. Sorry, I just accidentally blocked someone, and I need to unblock them. How do I do this? Boomer, help!
Wait.
But it's like, why was like, I just don't know why he's acting as if he's like this masculine, super uber masculine person, and he's there in like this suit going, man up, like it's just like, bro, like fucking take some perspective. Like, damn, like nothing wrong with being feminine either on any gender or whatever, but like don't sit here telling people to man up. Oh, it's just
Were you able to unblock them?
No, I don't know how to do it.
Oh,
You have to go to your studio.
who did you block?
Just somebody who did not deserve it. They were telling me about a book and I wanted to start it, and it was like, you blocked them, and I was like, no, like
R.I.P.
I'm so
Press
sorry.
F in
I'm
chat
a
to pay your
fucking
respects.
boomer. Just like this job's a nightmare.
Yeah, I think it's funny especially when like modern pastors talk about masculinity, the like complete ignoring of historical context and about how
So like every
modern
pastor in the
gender-
world ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't Jesus literally give his like disciples pedicures or whatever? Like he literally washed their feet, essentially.
Feet.
That's
like
a good one.
that wouldn't be considered. Thought of it just then. Big brain. Thought of it just then.
Big brain.
Yeah, it's like, you know, washing. Imagine if like a pastor was like, oh, I'm going to wash everyone's feet. Like, then that wouldn't be considered masculine today. That's like a feminine thing, but it probably might have been masculine back then. I don't know. I'm not a ancient erased scientist.
Sorry, I'm just looking for how to like unblock this.
Derek, you can't be chilling there with like.
I know,
not
why
jump
am I
in.
so incompetent?
That happens.
I think I'm
Sorry.
so okay.
So I'm looking at Community, and I
check
see
it
I
out.
have like.
I think
Here's the.
Okay.
All right, the New King James version of John 13:23 through 25. Now there
I
was
need the
one
New King
leaning
James
on-
version of how to unblock this person. Wait, hold on.
Now there was one leaning on Jesus's bosom,
Good work.
one of his disciples, whom Jesus loved. So there you go. Jesus was into a little man cuddle.
Ain't nothing wrong with man cuddles. I mean,
I don't want to
Yeah.
block this person.
Done.
Tell you what I miss. Man wrestles. You know, like when you're like a teenager and you and your mates would just wrestle each other, like, and hurt each other and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
I did
always up for a
jujitsu
good-
tonight. I man wrestle
Oh.
all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
My church had a practice called Handle the Randle.
What?
There's this-
That
it was
sounds
all
like a
these,
jerk off competition. Like I
that
don't
does
like
not
that.
sound good.
So it's
No.
named after this one guy.
Randall
uh,
Rouser. Just
No, unfortunately, which we do that in this community, but
Sorry.
we no, it's like college age dudes that had this roommate named Randall, and then they would like use him as like the football in like like their living space, and they like fight over him and like tackle each other, and like it
Ooh.
became like a thing then. Like, and then someone was like, whenever he would go to like a house party or something within the church,
Okay, he's
and
back.
he'd introduce himself,
Wait.
they're like, "Wait, you're the Randall?" And we were
Oh,
like,
that's so good.
"Oh, no."
Sorry, who's back? The
So
person I blocked.
the
Yeah.
Instapa Andrew.
Oh my God, you're back. Okay, awesome. I'm so sorry. It was such an accident. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I'm a boomer. It's my first time. Like, I don't know. That's what she said. Anyway,
Yeah, wrestling.
so
your mate.
sorry, Andrew.
But I would run in terror from Handle to Randall because I just don't like male physical, like rough contact as a person. So I just was like,
Did you guys have the Christian side hug?
Yeah,
no.
you got to leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I like the satanic front hug. It's where you push your genitals as hard as you can to each other. You know, it's all about getting that frontal contact. No room.
So sorry, what I was trying to star when I accidentally blocked, because I'm again boomer, was an anatomy. Got an Anatomy by Francesca Stavrakopoulou. I believe is how you pronounce her last name. Loved it. So good. She's a queen. I bow down to her.
That is one that I intend to read.
Hold on. Someone said they just tried to super chat and it didn't work, but I've gotten like 10 super chats, so now I'm confused. Please. I don't know what's happening anymore. I'm trying so hard. I got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
I got the signed copy.
Karaoke now.
I still got the money sign.
Okay.
I'll have to check
I love
that
it. Yeah.
It cost me like all my pocket money for like a month, but I got it.
Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to fucking get the cover, like the UK cover, because to be honest,
I'll tell you how you do it. You spend $120 and wait 6 months for it to come from the UK. That's what you do.
I've decided actually what I'm gonna do. What I did is just talk to Dan McClellan and be like, "Hey, can you ask?"
Can you put me in contact with Dan McClellan?
Can I? Yes. But I need him to put me in contact with Francesca for like a number of reasons, but like one of them is the book. The book is like secondary to school, but like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? We can just like talk about it on the other side. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with super chats. If you're having trouble with it, I wish that I did, but like I barely know what's going on at all. So I'm just hanging on by a thread.
Speaking of books that everyone should go order.
I feel like I was just about to bring this up. Yes. But my copy's out there.
What is it? I didn't see the title.
Yeah, let me turn
Andrew Seidel's.
So you can see it.
So do y'all know Andrew Seidel? Seidel? I don't even know how to pronounce his last name.
It's Seidel.
Seidel.
No.
So
he wrote American Crusade, How the Supreme Court is Weaponizing Religious Freedom.
Oh, wow.
His first book is called The Founding Myth, Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American. And
yeah. He's having some issues with like trolls. He just launched this second book. And I'm sorry to say this. No, I'm not sorry to say this. Actually, I love to lord it over everyone. I got a Galleys copy. So I had mine for months, please. No, but like
so I would be really interested, because this is how nerdy I am, is I would love to like then have the finished copy, because like you got the copy before, you know, like the Roe versus Wade announcements. Like, you know, like what changed between that and the final product? Like that's
yeah, honestly, I don't know. I haven't I plan to order the hard copy. I just haven't yet. Largely because I forget to do everything ever. But yes, excellent.
I have it on Kindle, and then he sent me this copy.
Dang,
to me, that looks awesome. Cool. To me though, like, is it about the how, or is it about is it trying to prove? Because to me, it's like, it's obvious, like it's of course, like I'm not American, but I'm like, anyone can see that, obviously, like that's a given. It's like
you'd think so.
Does the Pope shit in the woods? It's given, you know, whatever. But like but like, does it explain like how they're doing it? And like, okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
and it's also like how they've done it through like historically, how they've sort of like set it up and how they've walked through it, and like in this sort of like, I want to say secretive, but I don't know what's secretive. It's just like, it's not on the sort of like public, it's not in the public eye. So you see, it's like, it's, I don't know. It's really enraging.
It is. It is a very enraged. It's the way that I'll say is this book will radicalize you, because it will just like show, because what it does is it shows like a number of different Supreme Court cases where the Supreme Court has been slowly trying to redefine religious freedom as religious privilege, privileging the religious over the non-religious, and then Christianity over other religions, and specifically conservative Christianity over every other type, and trying to codify special privileges that special caste system class gets that other people do not get.
Like, I would like special privileges, but like specifically for me only. So I don't need to like include anyone else, and that's fine with me.
I mean, yeah, I would love for there to be like just written in the Constitution that
like for Jessica only.
For Korea, will be fine. Send her $1,000 a month, every citizen in the country has
universal basic income, hell yeah, for everyone. Let's do it. Okay.
No, just for me. Just for me.
I'm cutting everybody off right now. You know, we're going to talk about Isaiah 53. But before we do that, let me remind everyone, now that we're on the topic of books, to go buy the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament, Volume 2. And if you haven't, buy Volume 1. Hold on. I have Volume 2 here. Volume 1 is in my front room because I am taking notes out of it for this thing that I'm doing that's super top secret.
Wait, Heathen Queen, can I read out what he wrote in mine?
Yes.
So I asked Dr. Josh to. This also cost me all my pocket money, but I asked him to write in something sassy. Yeah, and so he said. So Megan said, "You're an okay bloke for a Kiwi, Megan," which is offensive because Australians and Kiwis don't like each other. So, and she knew it's like the best troll, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know if she knew or whatever. And then,
and also because Megan's like the nicest person ever, so she like just slid in there with the underhand. And
then Dr. Josh said, Daddy Josh said, "David, I have a freestyle rap for you. Tang gang, do the thing. Dave McDonald is a bitch. Pretty good, right? Love you, man."
So for anyone that missed that, when Oz and David McDonald were like freestyling live, David McDonald was like, "Tang gang, like whatever, Heathen Queen is a bitch," because I don't know why like, mocking him in the chat like mercilessly, and I was like, "This sucks, boo."
Honestly, I think it was
like
about
Oz made a clip of him saying it over and over and over again. Like,
I think what happened, to be honest, like if I try to psychoanalyze myself, I was so nervous. I didn't want to do that. I was so anxious, and I saw you in the chat, and I knew you were a friend. And
and then I was like,
"Wait, I'm rapping. I can call
just like fuck y'all."
Yeah,
like,
and then I was just, but I have no idea why I went after you. Like, why did I? You weren't even. I'm just like Heathen Queen's a bitch. Like, what?
I was a safe. Anyway. I was a safe space. You know, I was talking to. I think I was talking to Josh the other day, and I was like, there are very, very few situations in which a man could tell me that I'm a bitch and I would find it funny. Like, very, very few. Usually I would rake them over the coals.
It's like when I said I would love to give Oz a birthday kiss, and you were like, "Oh," and then you saw it was me, you're like, "Oh, it's fine."
Oh, never mind, it's fine. I thought it was somebody else. Dave. Like, that's fine. Jen is not worried about it. It's good. Yeah. No problem here. Yeah. I will say that, like, sadly, my book is not signed, but I am in the acknowledgements. I mean, the last paragraph was about.
Nice.
It's fine. It's fine. Cool. It's fine, right? It's like I'm totally humble.
I'm in Andrew's acknowledgements. I'm just not named, so whatever.
Okay.
Way to.
Now that we've gotten all of these books. Yeah, ready? So now that we've gotten all these books out of the way, sorry, y'all. I knew this was going to be a mess from like the second I agreed to do this. I was like,
I want
I'm
you
gonna be a
to like,
nightmare.
agree to, not like this whole fucking thing wasn't your idea.
I was like on Twitter, and I was like, should I go live? I don't know. Let's do it.
I know. I was like, your
and then just
producer may want to be clued in on this. Maybe
I'll just make it up as I go, which I did because I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But then we figured it out. So thanks everyone for the super chats, even though I'm sincerely probably still lost. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna go from like ha 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 to Isaiah 53. Because like I really do want to talk about this because I'm like I've been like in the sticks recently, because when I left Christianity, I still had these like weird questions. Not weird. I still had these questions about like, well, it had been so deeply like dug into my brain that these prophecies in the Old Testament were like so clearly about Jesus. So like, how could anything else ever like? How could that not be proof? And you see this come up with people like, what's his name? Riley's dad from Up, Mike Winger, where he talks about, like, it's like this obvious thing. Like, how can you not, like, see that, like, this is about Jesus? Obviously, it's the most reasonable conclusion. Like, no, Mike, the most reasonable conclusion is that you have a terrible barber. But moving on from that... Sorry, I fucking hate that man.
Dude, you saw him where he said he would kill someone if God told him to, right?
And I was like, God just told me something.
I think I said that same thing.
But it's rare.
It's rare, I know, but he told me. So hide your kids, hide your wife, Mike. Anyway, so moving on, back to the Bible. He's always talking about how it's like the most reasonable conclusion is that like, well, this is about Jesus. And I'm like, have you ever met a single Jewish person in your life? No. And I want to get more into the sort of like sticks here, but something that I was listening to his video the other day and it just like grinded my gears, his face. But then also he was saying like, there's not a single ancient like rabbinic text that talks about how this passage like isn't about Jesus, how it's about like, you know, how it's about Israel. And it's like, my brother in Christ, do you think that anybody that didn't believe in Jesus before he existed, while he existed, or after he existed, was going to be like, hey, actually, this passage that I have sincerely never, ever, ever, ever thought about Jesus in, is about this guy? Because then you have to write all of these things, right? Like, it's not about him, not about him, not about him, also not about him, not about him, because Jesus was just like one of many itinerant apocalyptic preachers who, like, to be honest, actually wasn't even the most like I don't want to say capable or able, but like there were other itinerant preachers that fulfilled more of the like Messiah prophecy from the Old Testament. And so like it's just so wild. And then he says something about like how, well, the first time we hear about this is like when Origen is saying like, oh, well, I brought this up. And then the Jews were like, no, actually, it's about like Israel. And it's like, no, wrong. Origen says, this is what the Jews believe about that passage. Not that like I brought something up and then they like counteracted it with like, no, actually, it's this. He's saying like, this is what they think it means. This is what they've always thought it means. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, the further away I get from Christianity, I don't like it. Just will be beyond me. It's like, how did I never talk to a single I am Jewish. I'm Jewish on my mom's side. How did I not ask a single Jewish person
get in here, Nitty,
genuinely knew what they were talking about? That like, okay, so why?
Sorry.
Because they would have been able to point it out to me so plainly. Like,
I want Nitty to hop in here, but before anybody does, I just want to say this one thing. I think that most people today, and Christians especially, have incredibly fucked up idea of what a prophet was in the ancient Near East. Because they think like, oh, a prophet in the ancient Near East, they were talking like thousands of years in the future. They're giving like this oracle that's meant for us today, right? Which, first of all, like, please. You're not that important. Second of all, prophets in ancient Israel, and I would say probably in the ancient Near East at large, but especially Israel, were meant to be sort of like the go-between between God and the people and God. And everything they were talking about was either happening right then or was going to happen in the very near future. So they're warning, like, if you don't do X, then Y, and like rather quickly, right? It's not like, hey, if you don't do X, I don't know, in 2,000 years, some bullshit's going to happen. It's like, listen, if you don't obey God right now, y'all are going to get conquered by the Assyrians. So like, figure it the fuck out, get it together. But we've sort of like, or Christians have sort of taken this like prophecy and prophets and whatever to be like, they were talking about us. And first of all, like, relax with the circle jerk. Like, we're not that important. None of us are that important. Like, chill out. But also, it's just like, that just wasn't the role of prophets.
I like what Christopher Hitchens says when he says that Christians passive aggressively refer to the Hebrew Bible as the Old Testament. I don't necessarily know if I fully agree with that, but it's interesting because imagine if like Mormonism grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and then they started referring to the New Testament as the Old Testament and the Old Testament as the Old Testament. You'd be like, Christians wouldn't be okay with that. But
The
no,
Medi
bullshit.
Testament.
Yeah, yeah. But I've got to go
sorry.
because I got to get back to work. I'm on my lunch break. Bye.
Hi, David. Thanks for coming in.
I'm sorry, but I love you. I love you guys. Happy,
Thanks for coming in.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Bye.
Also, listen later
So-
if you actually want to hear anything about Isaiah 53.
So this book here was this is written by an apologist from my former fellowship, James Rochford. It runs straight in line with like Mike Winger style apologetics, and there's a whole chapter on
How
Isaiah
embarrassing.
53. So there you go. He runs a whole website that's named exactly the same thing, where he tries to answer Bible difficulties and all that other jazz.
I have like selective forgetting because I just like some apologist on TikTok was like, you've got to read Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell.
Oh my
And that
fucking God,
reminded
bro.
me that my dad was actually a beta reader for that book.
Dude, if one more person says you need to read like The Case for Christ, I'm gonna light myself on fire. Like fully, just like self-immolate. Like, you think I haven't read The Case for Christ? I grew up in the Evangelical church in the early 2000s. That shit was my Bible, right? Like, I was like, the empty tomb, obviously, and then learn what fucking logic is. You're like, yeah, never mind. That's actually not how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, the Hebrew Bible's not my thing, but I tried to have this conversation. Most recently, I had a debate with Jonathan McClatchy.
Oh my God.
I mean, so my background is the history of science, and
Right.
when you read, for example, like you can read like ancient Greek atomists like Lucretius and Democritus, and you can read what they write about atoms, but no historian worth their salt reads that and says, oh, they had insight into quantum mechanics. No, it's like two different things. So why is it that when we read the Hebrew Bible, we think, well, skipping over the fact that it's inherently derogative to interpret a group of people's text in a way that they didn't interpret it, like, ignore that.
Sorry.
I mean, that's a big red flag off the bat. But like, why is it that it's just limited to just that? I mean, it's anachronism like 101, but why are we allowing anachronism here and not literally like everywhere else?
Yeah, I do want to speak briefly to this idea that Lee Strobel or however you want to pronounce it was a journalist, because when he wrote The Case for Christ, he was a whole ass pastor. Like, he was an entire pastor. He might have been a journalist in his past life. That's great. That's fine. But when he wrote this, he was a pastor of like 15 years or something.
Which, like, okay, so on one hand, and I don't even like that I'm remotely having to defend this, but like, so for example, Founding Myth, Andrew's first book, that took him like
just kidding. Yep.
9 years to write. So like, if that was his first book, so it could have just taken him a long time to write it, but he marketed it as if he was still a journalist. Like,
he marketed it as if he was a skeptic journalist that went on this like investigative journey, and his findings converted him. And like, all of that is demonstrably false. He was already converted. His conversion had nothing to do with his like investigation that he wrote in this book. And like he had been like a lapsed, like I think Methodist or something. I don't remember exactly, but he was a lapsed something. He had like grown up, lapsed, okay, whatever, and then like ultimately got back into some church, I think with his wife. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Right, but then like he goes and like writes this book and he markets it in this incredibly deceitful way. And like Christians lap it up because they're all idiots. I'm sorry, they're not all idiots. There's like 3 of you out there that I love. But like at least
You
in
know
the
who
churches
you
that I
are.
grew up in, yeah, you know who you are. And like I think the rest of you know not to try the like not all Christians nonsense with me because like bye.
Actually, you know what? Think about it like this. Christianity tells you that not only do you not only are you not worthy of love, but you also need to be loved. But what makes you feel more loved? Feeling smart or feeling stupid? Well, feeling stupid makes me feel unloved. So I need to feel smart. I can't feel stupid for what I believe. So apologetics preys upon what Christianity fosters, right?
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to feel dumb. You want to be more loved and more smart and more recepted by people. So here's some more reasons that'll make you not feel that bad feeling.
It's like the like most bullshit pseudo intellectual cover for people that like don't actually. It's like, listen, I don't shy away from being harsh. I think we all know this. But like apologetics, it's like it's just like it's like this like sounds just smart enough. It's not smart, but it sounds just smart enough to give people this sort of like lens, or not even lens, but this like veneer of intelligence. And so they don't have to think too hard about it. It just sounds smart and agrees with them. And so if somebody with a big platform, or even not even a big platform, but just someone who they trust says like, here's this reason to believe what you believe, it's super surface, right? Like there's never any real deep dive into it. When you hear about like evidence for the resurrection, you never hear anything different than like 5 things, right? You know, like the 500 witnesses, where the empty tomb, who the fuck cares? Like there's just like there's like the same 5 things over and over that have no actual basis, evidence, whatever. But if you believe that, it makes just enough sense and sounds like just smart enough to where like you don't have to think too hard about it. And I'm saying this from experience, right? Like when I was a Christian, it was like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. Awesome.
Not only that, but like, okay, so think of it from like a science perspective of like the vast majority of Christianity demonizes science. Science is lying to you. Science doesn't know the truth. And so if you have a scientist that presents, so a lot of people, they don't learn about science. A lot of Christians don't learn about it because they're taught that that's not, like, I know for me growing up, I actually have liked science a lot, but it was just like a very strong, like, that's not for you, that's for other people. And so it took very little science talk for me to start feeling really overwhelmed. And like, I didn't know what I was talking about. So if you have someone who has a PhD that's like, well, the Bible, like, no, the flood really did happen, and they start talking about a bunch of stuff that you don't know enough to be able to, you're like, oh yeah, no, that sounds smart.
Dude, when I tell y'all, growing up in the church that I did, there was like this one random guy that was like, I have fossils in my house. Now that I'm out and older and like thinking about that, I'm like, why would you have any serious fucking fossils in your house? They would be in a museum, like hello, somewhere, right? Like they're not going to be in your goddamn house. But at the time, I was like, ooh, a fossil. Like, where did you get this from? At the top of a mountain, and it's like a fish, so therefore it's blood. And I was like, oh my god, I'm convinced.
But they also taught you that evolution was false because the Loch Ness monster exists.
So true.
It's an airtight
I'm not
argument,
joking.
I mean.
It's very true. Like, I don't know how you argue with
They
that.
didn't
Also,
say
like,
that, did
that
they?
was not a
joke, but that was
That's
your
what
life.
they taught me. Yeah, like, I went to a school where we did like cases,
Hopefully
like
not.
packets of Christian, I don't even remember, accelerated Christian education. And like, it was drafted and written and designed all by like Baptists in Texas in like the 1970s. And I shit you not, I feel like I am owed, I don't like the word reparations because I feel like that is a very like specific term for not me, but some kind of fucking compensation.
You need to be able
for
to go
how
take some
badly they
biology
fucked up
classes. Yeah.
my brain because they were like, yeah, this was it.
The Loch
Evolution
Ness
can't be true
monster?
because the Loch Ness monster exists. I swear, there's a New York Times
No.
article about it. I will pull it up. I'm not. I shit you not. And I'm like, y'all.
When she
owe
told me that, I was like,
money,
what?
therapy. Like y'all owe me. I don't even know.
I probably told like 500
messy.
other people now, being like, I need you to understand how shitty private Christian education is.
Well,
Because
and
it's not
the thing
regulated at all.
is that like I didn't even realize how fucking wrong and weird that was until like so much later. That was the thing, because it's like you just don't, you get told that, nobody argues it, and when you're being educated, it's like you take what's given to you, right? Especially as like a younger child. And if you're sort of cloistered away in like I was in middle school years, you're just like, well, okay. And then you're also taught that everything that's not Christian, everything that doesn't agree with Christianity, everything that's outside, like, you know, anything that conflicts is intentionally deceitful and from Satan, and like it's meant to poison your mind, and like you have to be on guard, and it's all spiritual warfare. And it's like, it's not spiritual warfare, it's just quite literally like just science. That's it. But that, I mean,
Yeah.
So my guess is that these individuals are the ones that would say that ghost hunting is wrong, that's, you know, those kind of things are bad, but cryptozoology, hey, we can deal with that.
Hell yeah. I'm like, it's mind-boggling. I mean, everybody in my church thought that the Earth was 6,000 years old. Hi, science.
That's crazy. Because
and-
even when I was a Christian, I didn't believe the world was 6,000 years old. I
neither.
literally, like, I was one of those, like, because I would talk to other people that were like, but you know the world isn't 6,000 years old, right? And I'd be like, yes, but I don't think that time had been established. So those 7 days when he created everything, like,
but then he was tired that like one day.
Yeah.
My man
Like,
needed a nap.
I was like, oh, well, you know, it says like a day is like 1,000 years.
Exactly.
So like, you know, we don't know how much time actually passed. My dad's a literal, like, he's like, no, when the word day means day. And I'm like, okay.
Does it though?
I know.
I have to tell you all this. So I haven't put it out yet, but I recorded last week with Candida Moss, who wrote the book The Myth of Persecution and some other books, but this was my favorite one. And I just totally lost why I was telling you all that. That's just a random interjection into the stream. God damn.
Well, we were talking about how like detracting information is viewed as an attack by Satan, right? It
right.
feeds that narrative, right?
So I don't know if this is exactly what I was going to say, but it works well enough, where she was talking about how like all of these sort of myths around persecution were very much made up way after the fact. And they're just sort of like fed to us because they have like a very, like they create kind of an identity or inspiration or like motivation or whatever, right? Like even this story, this honestly, I don't remember why I was trying to talk about this, but I'm just going to go down this path now that I'm here. Truly cannot remember a damn thing. But she was saying that like even the story about Peter being crucified upside down because he didn't want to be crucified in the same way as his Lord. First of all, the story didn't even come to exist until hundreds of years later. And then even later than that was this idea that it was because for humility, right? Like that was attached even later than this like myth of him being crucified upside down. And like, sorry, I'm sincerely so annoyed that I can't remember why I brought this up. So anyway, there's a little fun aside about Peter and Candida
Well,
Moss. So coming
so
soon to a YouTube channel near you.
When
I
I
have
was
all those.
deconstructing things and people were bringing up like the martyrs, like that it's attested
Oh,
that
that's
they
what it
really
was.
fucking believed. And I'm
Yes.
like, but when I read with the idea that like Christians could invent things in the back of my head and read the martyrdom account, I'm like, wait a minute, the Gospels might already be written by now. So if Peter's dying like this, and then he appears before his disciples, just like Jesus did, he like, does some other shit just like Jesus did. Wait, what's going on here? Like, wait, they took the other text and then they adapted it and then threw Peter's name on it. What the?
Listen, I remember why I brought that up. You reminded me. Thank you. Someone in the stream, I think it was Lefu, was talking about like Jesus freaks, DC talk, like the whole like martyrdom narrative, book of the martyrs, like yada yada. That's what it was. Sorry, that reminded me because like that shit traumatized me. If we're being real, like when I was a kid and I was like, it was given to me as a gift. Girl, I'm fucking 12. Like, I'm gonna need everyone to chill out. I don't need to be reading about people being like skinned alive. Okay, like relax. But no, like that was my childhood. So sorry, that's what it was when I saw the thing in the chat about like, Jesus freaks or whatever. Fun fact: pretty much all of DC talk is no longer Christian.
Really?
Kevin Max is like out there on Twitter, like I don't know what's happening anymore, but I don't believe in God. And then I don't know about the other two, but I think they sort of all gone their own ways. It's rather interesting. Not the Fox's Book of Martyrs.
No longer Jesus freaks.
Yeah, DC talk was like, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, K-Max is out there.
Same, my brother.
He's now the other guys, they're still doing stuff with like some of the conservative Pentecostal channels and stuff like that.
Probably with Kevin Sorbo, to be honest. Depressed.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Oh, the other thing, like, and this, I'm sure that a bunch of people know this, but I was like, huh. Was anybody else taught that like Christians like hid in the catacombs and they like got lost down there sometimes and like they were like some of them like killed and just like stored down there? Like, am I wrong? Do you know, like, does nobody else remember that? Because like that's what I was taught, that like Christians hid in the catacombs and like whatever, and that's like they didn't. So the catacombs are hella fucking small. So like there's no hiding. Everyone knew they were there. Like if you went down to the catacombs, it'd be like, there they are. I guess maybe I was the only person taught this. Like, I don't know. Also, this like really pervasive idea that like Christians were thrown to the lions.
Yeah.
Okay, so like
heard that one.
When like this myth is going on, the Colosseum wasn't even done being built yet. So fuck right off into the sun with that. But like, no, seriously, this is what I learned the other day, and I was like, it wasn't built. Like, nobody did a Google search before they taught an entire generation of people this like nonsense? Because like I think that some Christians like apparently did eventually like get probably put in the arena, but like this idea that they were put in the arena being persecuted, like all of this stuff, and she'll go into it in detail when I post the interview. I won't like try and recite it now, but like this idea that they were all like put there at this one specific time, it's just like, it's just not true. It wasn't even done. Like it didn't exist. Anyway.
Yeah, well, that kind of goes back to what you were saying about Isaiah and how Christians read Isaiah. It's a misuse of history to prove like some contemporary point, kind of like an ancient form of like propaganda, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, I'm gonna try not to get into the sticks, and then I have like my fucking like board behind me with like the strings and everything. Like the thing that's so wild to me about Isaiah 53 is if you read it, like if you read the chapter before and you read the chapter after, it makes perfect sense what it's talking about. But like, for instance, like Mike Winger is like, well, Isaiah was written about 700, and it's like, no, there's like 3 parts of Isaiah. If you want to be conservative, at least 2 parts. Like, so they were written at different times, and there's not like a small time period difference between them, right? So we have like in
Thanks,
chapter
Michael.
39.
Congrats again on
Oh,
monetization.
thanks. Thanks for being
there you
here.
go.
Hi. I'm just boring everyone with Isaiah, but like in chapter 39, we have King Hezekiah who's like reigning peacefully, right? Awesome. And there's 7 kings after Hezekiah before the exile. Yeah. And then we have chapter 45, so like 6 chapters later, and it has Cyrus bringing the Jews out of exile, which is 100 years after chapter 39. And like we're still saying that like this was written by the same person. Like there's so much more, but like that alone is like we're thinking this is all written by one person. Hello, anyone? Like it's just so weird. Like it's like you're not reading this shit, and then like sorry, this has just been like the thorn in my side, to quote my buddy.
I actually
Paul.
had no clue about that. That like Isaiah spans that long of a time span.
Yeah, so
That's
if you
interesting. Okay.
so there's a scholarly debate about a couple of things, right? Like most scholars would say that Isaiah at least is split into 2 parts. Some want to argue for a 3rd part. That is a little bit more debated, but there's certainly really mostly agreed upon by all scholars that there is Proto-Isaiah and Deutero-Isaiah. And Proto-Isaiah is going to be chapters 1 through 39, and it's pre-exilic, and then Deutero-Isaiah is 40 through 55. If you don't think there is the Trito-Isaiah, then it's through 66. But that's the more debated part. Pretty much everyone agrees there's like 2 parts to Isaiah. And so like, and the dating is just vastly different because you have this like I said, this pre-exilic where Isaiah, the part they actually think is written by Isaiah, which is like 1 through 39, is where he's sort of giving his warnings, right? So like we, don't do this, do that, yada yada yada, or else X, Y, or Z. And then you see 2nd Isaiah, and you see a couple of things. So like the style and the content both kind of change starting in 40
Right.
verse 1. And you see that like these chapters 40 through 55 are like pretty clearly written after the conquest of Babylon. And again, I feel like I'm just going into the fucking sticks here. But like, I'm gonna stop. There are many things you can see that like differentiate these 2 blocks, and it's like it's just not written by the same person, and almost nobody thinks that it is. And Isaiah 53 very clearly falls into this time period that's later. I think I should stop because I'm gonna start talking about Assyria, and like I'm just gonna go way further than anyone ever probably cares about. Sorry, I know you're all here
What's
for funny
interesting to me
games.
is just like thinking about like how much the eschatology of the last chapters of Isaiah, not necessarily like especially in like the 60s chapters, how many similarities those bear to things like the Book of Enoch or like later kind of Jewish concoctions of what is going to happen at the end rather than earlier ones.
Yeah. Well,
which almost don't even it's almost like there's something else going on there that like the traditions get more and more wild, like crazy shit goes, like things are gonna explode, animals are gonna fuck that never fucked before, like I mean they're gonna be all cool with each other. Cats and dogs living together.
Hell yeah. It's gonna be raining cats and dogs.
I don't know if we have to be PG-13 here or what.
No. Have we met? Yeah, no. Sorry, I just saw someone in the chat ask how many years in total does the book of Isaiah span? And to be honest, I'm just looking through my notes to like double check. And maybe someone knows for sure in here.
From all your time listening to Little Wingy.
God, felt that. Sorry, I just hate it. Let me see. Let me check my notes. Let me calm down, take a deep breath. This is a good question. Oh wait, so we have 24 through 27 is probably written around 500, 33 through 55, 586, 36 and 39. It seems like it's about 700 to 500 to 450. I'd have to double check like exact dates, but that's what it looks like, because at least from what I've read, you have Proto-Isaiah, which is like everybody kind of agrees is written by the prophet Isaiah. And then you have Deutero-Isaiah, which most people agree was written like, I don't know, 100-ish years after that, and was written by people or whatever, the school of Isaiah, right? So people that sort of believed the same things, that sort of followed in his traditions. And then you have people after that, and like I think they're not quite sure who wrote those, but it doesn't seem to be the same people. And then you have canonical Isaiah, after all, like the editorial redactions that sort of come together in the 4th century. So like I know that's not an exact answer, but like that's the sort of general idea. I can get back to you with a more exact answer. But overall, it seems to span a couple hundred years, and like it's almost certainly not the same person, unless you're a fundamentalist Christian, and then just who cares? It's fine. It's fine. Just probably just whatever,
But
God.
it's God. He knows the beginning from the end.
Hey.
He can reveal whatever, whenever, to whoever.
Exactly. It's
for whatever
fine.
reasons.
It's probably just like a reincarnation. I don't know. Magic. I don't know. What was I going to say? So something that I found interesting in my research was that, like, again, I don't speak Hebrew. I've taken a little bit of Hebrew, but not a lot. But where I'm getting this is from like native Hebrew speakers and like biblical scholars, and not just like me being like, oh, I don't know, I think it means this. So when you go to Isaiah 53:5, right, it says, "He, Israel, was wounded because of our transgressions." So this word, in the Hebrew, it's men, M-E-M, right, which is it means because of or from. It's never translated as for, except for sort of in the Christian Bible, right? So if you read it in Hebrew, it means, the nation of Israel was wounded because of, or like from, but there's never any indication of like atonement by another person, right? It's just like, okay, Israel was wounded because of their transgressions, which makes perfect sense if you think about, I don't know, the entire Old Testament and like the way that God interacts with Israel, right? And it's also interesting. I'd have to look up my source for this. I'm forgetting, but like the way that Yahweh sort of changes in Isaiah is really interesting. So again, not an expert, but in some of the sources I was reading, there's this interesting shift where like Isaiah and his counterpart, even though they didn't know each other, Amos, believed that God, Yahweh, yes, there's the covenant. Yes, the Jews are his chosen people. Like, yes, if they do what they're supposed to do, or not even that. Like, they're his chosen people. They try and follow the law. God then, provides for them and like makes them victorious and whatever. You see this shift in like Amos and Isaiah and maybe some of the other social justice prophets. I can't say for sure. Where it becomes like, yeah, God does this if we do what we're supposed to do. So it's a very different, like, yeah, this is God and this is our relationship and we're in this covenant. And instead it starts shifting, like the theology starts shifting towards like, okay, yes, God chose you. Yes, God cares for us. But like also this relationship is conditional on how like we, the people, behave. And the behavior could cancel that covenant pact if if it wasn't correct. And I think that's a really interesting shift, right? I don't think we think about that often. And like, I don't know if anyone even gives a shit about that, but like, I think it's really interesting because if you go from this idea of like, we're God's chosen people, like we, you know, he's going to care for us and we're just kind of like doing our best, but like this relationship is not dependent upon whether or not I do things perfectly. That's a very different thing than like, hey, we signed this contract. If I do this, you'll do that. And if I don't do that, then you can void this contract effectively. Those are very different things. And when you start to think about God in those terms, I think that really alters your theology, and it really alters how you understand your relationship to that God, and it really alters like your understanding of like your own, I think, just sort of existence, right? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I just thought that was really interesting.
One of the other things, though, is that it brings those authors into some, like, not, I don't want to say like hard conflict with the previous biblical authors, but definitely in specific instances where it seems that God or Yahweh offers unconditional covenant relationships, right? Or makes unconditioned promises to like Abraham, to David and whatnot. So which is it, right? Like, are those promises, even though they're like if those promises are unconditional, but they belong to a subset of Israelites, how is it that the nation can break an unconditional promise to fulfill something to a subset, right? It just, you have to like do some like crazy ass mental gymnastics, raver dance of theology to like get in there with God's thinking on this one.
Hey, they got to make it work, you know? What I also think is interesting though, and that's in line with that, is that like Isaiah also, at least from what I've seen and read, seems to think of God in this like way where he cares more about people than he does necessarily about like ritual. And that doesn't mean like ritual goes out the window, but you kind of this contingent on dick. Sorry.
You quit snipping the tips, I'll cut you off.
Exactly. Hey, knock it off. But also collect 200. Like, because you see Isaiah in line with these other prophets, like I think it's like Amos and Hosea and maybe Jeremiah. I'm not remembering exactly, but they're like these sort of like social justice oriented authors. And so like you see this idea that like God cares more about his people than he does like, or cares more about individuals than he does kind of as like the group as a subject. And I'm happy to be corrected, but that's sort of the impression that I got. And I know there's like debate among scholars, but like, you know, in like Isaiah 29, there's this idea that maybe God finds like the motions of worship somewhat repugnant. And there's another side of the debate that says like, you know, it's actually not that. It's that Isaiah is speaking in relative terms. And this means that like God ranks moral conduct above ritual conformity and like whatever. But it's this Ezekiel. Thank you. That's what it was. But it's like, it's very interesting how it starts to shift, right? Like this contract or this covenant, it seems like it goes from covenant to contract and it becomes voidable. But at the same time, you see this like shift from being like God, like you're his people, to being like this is like individual person versus a sort of like corpus. And I'm sure that there's a ton of nuance there that I'm missing, but just from sort of my like basic reading of it, it's a very interesting shift to me. And I think that like we see that sort of flow in to Christianity in a lot of ways.
Well, with like Hellenizing, let's think of it in like a broader context of like what's happening around, maybe, and maybe a real historian can correct me on this, but
Pat, that's you.
Aren't like most of the mystery cults and Greek religions very personal in and of themselves? Like, you are the one worshiping the gods more directly. You don't have as much intercession going on. Like there isn't like a priestly cultus, as it were. Maybe in some, but not all. And so
Yeah,
maybe
I
that's
don't
like
know.
some kind of like, oh, like God's more interested in us as individuals too, just like the gods are into everyone else more individually, right? And blessing them uniquely. But, or another way that I'm thinking about this is like that kind of idea of like God might be working through individuals more. I mean, it makes sense of how we're getting more and more. This is revealed to the so and so, right? Prophet, not revealed to the nation as a whole. That starts to make sense of that. Like there's more individual kind of things happening between people.
You know what's
having their God relationship go on.
What's interesting, and so this has just popped into my head, and I don't know the exact dates on this, but I was reading a book called Treasures of Darkness, and it talks about the evolution of religion in the ancient Near East, right? And so it goes from sort of like this worship of the elements. So you have like they just worship the sun, for instance, right? As just like the sun is a god, water is a god, like stuff like that, right? With more fundamental things, and then it shifts into somewhat more localized gods, like god of a city, god of whatever, and then like the third shift is it becomes like a very individualized god where you have a relationship with that god on your own. And sorry, this just popped into my head, so I don't actually know the details of this, but it would make a lot of sense if like this shift was also happening in ancient Israel. Because I mean, ancient Israel is happening in the broader context of the ancient Near East, right? So it's hard, you can't just like separate those two things and pretend like they don't influence each other. And like, I'm happy to be totally wrong and someone's way smarter than me. So. Hey, get in there. Yeah.
Well, I kind of wonder, because I know like whenever that initial contract happened with Abraham, it was, you know, I'm taking care of both parts of the contract. Normally both of us have to walk in between these dead animals, but I'm doing it for both of us. So there's that. But I really don't know.
Well, if you look at one of the things that I found, and maybe Pat knows more about this, but it's like, well, in Philo's works, certainly he is having his own revelatory types of experiences with God, and coming to know it, his own Philo of Alexandria, coming to his own understandings of his relationship with God and what God was trying to say through the scriptures. And then I'm wondering, like, if Pat knows more about the Mandeans or the Nazarenes and how individualized that kind of idea was, and what their interplay with Judaism was, because their baptism cult, that in some things I was reading, they follow John the Baptist, but in some they don't. So trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, Pat, help us out here, please.
Look. But in any case, right, that idea that you yourself are getting baptized is definitely something that's happening. Not baptized as a people, but baptize you as a person for relating to God.
Instead of just like getting like, the tip of your
people, or or being a part of a people passing through the waters, as it were, as like a corporate whole, like it was in the older parts of the covenant, but later, that practice being individualized.
Sorry, this is like very sort of tangential, but like the more I talk about sort of these ancient practices and like what ancient Judaism was ostensibly like, at least from what I'm told, the weirder it is to me that Christians are like, yes, this is the second covenant. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this has nothing, like, I just, like, you don't know shit about fuck. Like, that's how I feel. Like, what is happening here? Because I remember, like, oh my God, sorry, this is just a funny memory that I hope somebody other than me will laugh at. I was telling someone yesterday. So I grew up evangelical, charismatic, like, you know, the whole 9 yards. And because of that, of course, they tried to co-opt any random Jewish thing they thought was like cool. And so like in our worship services, God,
Shofar.
yes.
Oh,
Someone would like randomly try. But this was the better part. This was the better part. Was that like whoever was trying to like blow the shofar was clearly not practiced in blowing the shofar, and so like oftentimes it would come out like a shofar in puberty, and so it would just be like like it's just like, yeah, I don't know, that doesn't inspire literally anything except for me thinking about like, ooh, I do not like 13-year-old boys as a 13-year-old girl. That's what I was reminded of, because I was like, yeah, that's the no, thank you. But like, do y'all not feel ashamed? Like if I brought a shofar to church, if I brought any instrument to church and I tried to play it and it came out like a prepubescent boy's voice, I would just pack it up, like quite literally forever. Because that's
Wow.
It cracks me up.
embarrassing, truly. I don't know if it's more embarrassing because like, or like more embarrassing than, but also like because we were so charismatic and like, I'm sorry, I know I am just taking this conversation in like 98,000 directions, but like, hey, welcome to my brain.
Hey, we're having fun. That's what's important.
Yeah, exactly.
great. You do
It's
you.
fun. Just kidding. It's fun, goddammit.
I mean, this is your show, so you can
Yeah.
do well with it.
My show, you know. So when we had worship, it was like led by the Spirit. And by the Spirit, I mean like whatever bitch didn't want me to eat lunch. Because like it would go on forever. And I was just sitting like, I'm so fucking hungry. But we'd have like one open mic, for lack of a better term. Like there would just be a microphone up there. Yes, prayer flags. Holy fucking shit. Sorry, I am saying so many bad words in a row because I'm triggered. But no, but like we'd have flags all over the sanctuary. First of all, why are there like, how can you read the story of Jesus and think that you need to have any flag quite literally anywhere in your sanctuary? Like, okay, I'm gonna stop there because that's a lot. But we'd also have like this open mic, so like you could go up and like prophesy, or you could like speak in tongues, right? And I just want to remind everyone that that's supposed to come with a translation. Okay, it never did, never. Also, there would be sometimes people would come up and they would like sing a prophecy. I don't know, like, did they have a good singing voice? No. Did that stop them? Absolutely not. Like it was a hellhole. Like, and so people would literally run around the sanctuary with flags for some reason. I don't know. Now, this is actually the part that like makes me want to gouge my own eyes out, but also like is also funny. Everybody there thought it was like you should really like dancing in church was. And there was this one guy who would just like mosh in the front of the church, which I'm kind of like, okay, I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it. Like, I don't get it. It's fine. Like, get it. But most of the people in my church were like middle-aged white people, to be honest, or like young people, right? Yeah, exactly. I get monetized, immediately lose it for cussing. I can't, whatever. It's who I am. But like, sorry. I don't even know what the dance move is called, but it would just be like, kick this foot out, kick that foot out, kick this foot out, kick that foot out, and then like clap off beat the entire time. Like catch the fly, catch the fly, catch the fly. Everybody, and somehow everybody was like, nobody was on the same, nobody, not a single clap. Like if you were listening in the church, it was like,
So much for that spirit of unity. I mean,
God,
Right.
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if any of y'all grew up charismatic, you can relate.
No.
I don't know,
Yes.
but I'm just
Yeah.
my
therapeutic
church
for
would
me.
mock churches like
Been
that.
there.
So
They invite people to church, and I'm like, y'all look like lunatics. Like I don't like. and I'm supposed to like want to be a part of this, and I'm like, okay, I can convince myself like somehow, like if I try really hard to like be a part of this, okay, it's just that like nobody else, you know, I have some like special whatever. But then you're like, you want me to bring somebody else? Like, how am I supposed to convince them this is like normal behavior? And then my pastor would always be like, you know, you can jump up and down for football every Sunday, but you can't jump up and down for Jesus. Jesus never scores, so so like I don't know. Sorry, no. I'm gonna shut up about being charismatic. Thank you. That was very cathartic.
No, I actually have a question for you. So you did a bunch of notes on Isaiah 53, and I'm curious as to what you do with verse 12, where most translations I'm looking at are looking at the word or have the word intercession in them.
Good question. Sorry, I'm not actually sure if I have notes on that.
Wow.
Because I'm not done. That's the problem. I'm not done with the sort of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But let me.
We'll get back to me then.
Yeah. Sorry. I will get back.
I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I'm like 8 pages in, but the problem was there was so much wrong with like the beginning that I had to like do all of these notes on like, nope, you have the dating wrong. Nope, you have the authorship wrong. Nope, you have the history wrong. Like, this is all wrong. And then I finally got to the like prophecy, and I was like, I am like 7 pages into this. You know, but I'm gonna get there. It's hard to be as wrong as Mike Winger. But he's a champ.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You know.
So,
go on.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, with apologists in particular in the like online Western Christian space, I think what I'm seeing now is like when you're young and you don't want to feel dumb and you are looking for like what you believe are really strong reasons to stay a Christian or whatever, you find that apologist that speaks to you and you don't really realize it, but what they're doing is the research, right? And you're like, oh, they did the research, it's so good, but it's this, they're just parroting what was argued before. They're not getting something new from God. They're not, you know, looking at the text in themselves.
They're not getting something new from God.
I know, right?
Oh my!
or
the hell?
They're not, you know, versed in the Hebrew. They're not like.
They're barely versed in English.
Yeah, but they're also like giving you their like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like distilled particulars.
Sorry to interrupt,
like,
but
getting to that, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, Pat had an answer, so I just thought I'd.
Neat.
I want everyone to go harass Apologia and tell him to come into the chat. You didn't hear it from me. Anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, they're completely reliant on like enough scholarship that it won't contradict their current denomination or however they do Jesus. And not enough scholarship to make them no, but not enough scholarship to take them away from the faith either, right? Like they're not going to look at it like, oh wait, if I looked at this in the Hebrew or if I looked at this as like a historical skeptic, like I would not agree with what my conclusion is.
Sorry, so you made an excellent point, and I was just busy making terrible jokes.
It's okay. You can shit on little Wingy all you want.
No, I was just... Anyway, my mouth, like my brain to mouth, like pipeline is like about this long. And so by the time it comes out of my mouth, I think like maybe you should have waited to say that.
Look, my son's still in pull-ups, so I need to bring him down here and be like, uh-oh, we got the verbal diarrhea going. And just
wait, you said your son is doing pull-ups?
He's still in pull-ups for sleeping. He's
like,
doing pull-ups. I got this 3.5-year-old. He's fucking jacked. Bro, he's a little goblin. He just runs around and punches my daughter. No.
Listen, You never know. Kids these days. In any event, Pat says, actually, there's a very interesting thought about that regarding the cult of ancestor worship in ancient Israel. The patriarchs could act as intermediaries with Yahweh. I don't know who is writing on that, but I know there are scholars writing on that. So if Pat knows, happy to post that up here. I feel like I've heard Dan McClellan talk about this, but I could just be imagining it because I feel like he talks about everything on TikTok, and so I'm just like, yeah, you probably talked about it. But I'm not sure if that's actually true. Best portrayal of Jesus is made in American Gods. I don't know what that means. Is it a
American
show?
Gods is a show. Yeah.
Oh, is that like
Netflix or something?
Neil Gaiman or something?
It's a Neil Gaiman book that they made into
How did I know that?
show. Agreed.
I'm really proud of myself. Sorry, wildly wild diversion. Y'all watch Sandman?
Oh, haven't seen it yet.
No.
Just kidding. That's fine. I actually I had no idea about this show at all, and then I went to Hawaii a month ago, and I kept seeing people talk about it, and then I saw it on Netflix. And when I'm on vacation, I'm the kind of person that's I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm on vacation, therefore I'm gonna sit my ass right here and not ever move. Which I understand it's not everybody's ideal. That's fine. But I turned it on. So you know what happened? Nobody asked. I'm going to tell you anyway. I had a Zoom call with Jeffrey Stackert up at the University of Chicago. And so I had I'm the kind of person that if I have something to do at 2, I simply cannot do anything except for wait for that appointment at 2. I will just, I want to make sure I'm on time. I want to make sure I'm ready. Therefore, I cannot possibly do anything at all except for get ready until that time. So I was all right, I'm just gonna hang out here and get ready. So I was oh, Sandman, I don't think I'm gonna like this. I don't know why I don't think I'm gonna like it. I just didn't think I was gonna like it. I'm not a huge fantasy person. I turned it on. I watched the entire season. Watched it. Sorry, time out. Went to do my chat. Great, awesome, loved it, super fun, super nice guy. Went straight back to the room and was until this season was over. Anyway, that's all. No spoilers. To be honest, I barely remember. I have no memory. It was just really good. That's all. Let's see. Also, I thought the casting. So, also, again, I haven't read the comic books or anything like that. So, if you are someone that's been a devotee of the comic books, I can't speak for them. But having just kind of looked at them after watching the show, the casting, excellent. As was the casting in. My brain is going 9 million directions.
Game of Thrones, Dragons.
Yes.
House of Dragons.
Matt Smith, Damon Targaryen. Yes. And
speaking
Evan
of
Peters,
Neil Gaiman and Matt Smith, though, the Neil Gaiman episode of Doctor Who is my favorite. The Doctor's Wife. It's so good.
I did. I just totally spaced. Something that I love that's happening right now is the people on Twitter that think that Neil Gaiman is responsible for the Lord of the Rings sort of prequel on Amazon Prime. Have y'all seen that? People are bitching at Neil Gaiman about it, and he's yes,
Oh
next
God.
time. Next time I do the direction for the whatever, I'll be sure to let everyone know. And he's just I don't have anything to do with this, but he keeps responding to people. I don't know, it just makes me really happy. It's just I don't know. But also, and I know there's going to be a lot of I've gone way off the rails, but you know what? It's my show. Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer. Scary. If y'all are into true crime or you watch that shit on Netflix.
So
disturbing.
I've been really torn about watching that because I've heard that Evan Peters is really, really good in it. But I've also heard that they've used stuff directly from the victims' families.
Oh yeah. So after I watched it, after I watched the entire thing, I saw like many reports that the victims' families were not like happy about this. I don't know. I believe them if they say that. If the victims' families weren't happy, I had already watched it, so it was like, well, I can't unwatch it. Like, I don't know. I watched it. I'm not saying people should watch it, right? I think we have this weird like glorification of serial killers in our society, especially right now. So like, I'm not saying anyone should go watch it. Do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Although I did see one incredibly funny post where like someone was like, "Don't ever watch this. It'll let demons in your house." And like, I saw it and I smelled it, like crawled into my like room via the like duct in the like wall. And I was like, I want to watch this twice now. So like, it's like, what are you talking about? But God, I don't know how. I'm sorry, I have no idea how I even got on this topic. I'm just rambling.
No, I was just saying, like, for me, it's just the fact that like they don't get any money from it. Like, they have like literal footage that they use, like the scene for like the sister of one of the victims in the court room.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I saw that.
The fact that they can use all of that like super personal stuff.
Sorry, Samson was a suicide bomber. Sorry. Hi, Carol. Yeah, sorry. I agree with that. I think that the family should get some kind of compensation. I have no idea how that works. I also think we've probably done way more Dahmer documentaries than we ever need in life. Like, I don't think we need any more. My statement in this is just that Evan Peters is a phenomenal actor. Yeah. That's sort of the full stop, and I won't get into the ethics of the rest of it because, like, honestly, I think that most of the ethics in Hollywood are fucked up. Like, I would almost bet all of them are. So again, not saying to watch it, not saying to don't. If you want to see Evan Peters acting, watch Mayor of Easttown on HBO. Excellent show, and he does a great job. Or if you're spooky and creepy like me, go watch Murder House, the first season of American Horror Story, because so good. Anyway, back to the Bible, which is also like a murder house, but like different. Sorry.
I was gonna ask you. You grew up in a Pentecostal background, so did you grow up with there's that movie series where they were doing the entire end times, and they were showing like went all the way up to showing people being killed for their faith at the end.
Oh, like
all this stuff.
Not Left Behind. It's the other one. It's the late great like, Planet Earth or something.
Yeah, this was like back in the 70s and 80s.
Yes, I've seen it all. You know?
Yeah.
So this is again. I'm going to circle back to what you were saying, but I get asked quite a bit by people, like, how do you put up with all of this like wild like shit on the internet, right? Like people that say all of this like nonsense that doesn't hurt your feelings, like doesn't. I'm like, no, it absolutely does not. They could quite literally never hurt my feelings, because of the way I grew up. So first of all, I grew up in the church, and not just any church, like evangelical, fundamentalist, end times, like shit is happening right now. I am 8 years old being told that like I'm going to be tortured and martyred for my faith probably like next week. So like I am like in it, right? And on top of that, I grew up with, and this will have to be a whole other stream. I grew up with an incredibly fucked up mother who like from the time that I was like very young would tell me like, I'm just gonna like give you a brief like synopsis here. She would tell me about like the myth, like the Bloody Mary myth. And then she would tell me that like, so y'all are familiar with Bloody Mary, right? Like the kind of just like scary, whatever you look at Mary, say, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She told me that Bloody Mary could possess her. And she would pretend to be possessed by Bloody Mary. And then like, even when I got like super spooked because I was a child, she would just keep going with it, right? So like, that's one. Two, my mom used to go out in public with us and pretend, and this is horrifying on like 10 different levels, go out in public with us and like pretend that she was disabled in some way, which is like really bad on its own. but then like would pretend that like me and my siblings, depending on who was there, were her caretakers, and that we were mistreating her in public, like at the grocery store, right? Like, what was the end game? I don't fucking know. No idea. And then we go on to like, so that's sort of, she would also like, we'd be in our room and there's like a window, and at night she would like sneak around the house and like pop up in the window just to scare the shit out of us, because like, I don't know. That's like the tamer version. Like that's like, those are like the tame things that happened in my childhood. Moving on to like my adult life, my young adult life, where my mom like kind of went off the deep end and ended up living in the basement of a trap house in like deep East Oakland, and working armed security for an illegal casino in the backyard, and like introducing me to someone who like a week later shot 2 people in the face, and then like just like it, and that is just the intro to like my life, right? So like nobody is ever gonna hurt my feelings, not on fucking Al Gore's internet. Like you couldn't. Like,
yeah, wow.
So like, yeah. And I laugh at all of this now because I'm like, haha, so funny. And then everyone hears that and they're like, and that's before we even get into like, you know what? We'll save that for another day because I think I'm traumatizing y'all. Love everyone. And the worst part about it is like when I tell these stories, I laugh about them because I'm removed from them now, right? And so I'm like, that's funny. But it's actually not funny to anybody else, except for me and my siblings. So sorry. But like, so like when you brought up like the end times and this like, you know, all this whatever stuff, it just like the degree of damage that shit did to me, well, I don't know about everybody else. Like in a lot of ways, it made me sort of like unfazable, but only after years of being traumatized, right? Like years and years of thinking like I'm gonna burn in hell, like I'm gonna get raptured. Like my parents used to watch Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. Anyone remember that movie?
My mom was an angel in that play when I was a kid. We had to go watch it because she was like the main angel, like that was like reading people's names out of the book.
Hell for you. Yeah, like that. So my parents got saved at a live showing of that play, and so like it became this like touchstone for like my family somehow. So like that would be like they would play that movie just like regularly, like Friday night, let's watch Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. And I was like, I'm 7 years old. And like they would also listen, okay, any former ex-fundies here, to Ray Boltz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If y'all remember him, I don't know. I just want to say this. He's gay. I'm not joking. He came out as gay, and I will not tell you. I'm so happy for him that he's living his truth, but I will tell you the fucking tippy happy dance that I did over to my parents to alert them to this fact. Like the degree of joy that I got out of telling them, guess what? Your boy's one of us. Was beyond, just beyond. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to get to bed so I can help with the kids in the morning. But
yes,
it's so great being on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Here. I should probably
I'm welcome to
shoot
the shit anytime. So message me on Twitter or whatever when you want me to pop in.
Thanks for hopping in with a shirt on.
Yeah. I was just another story. But yeah, catch y'all later.
Bye, Nitty. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you. And yes, watch The Lamb, Ray Boltz.
Yeah, that Ray Boltz. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And to be super honest, love that for him. Love it. I wish everybody in the world would just be who they are and like whatever. But I'm not gonna lie and say that like when I found out the like fucking river dance that I did over to my parents' house to like tell that,
like
it was like, oh,
you know, like no kink shame whatsoever. But when Jerry Falwell Jr.'s shit came out, I was like, yes.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I actually, like, you can do whatever you want in your bedroom so long as it's between consenting adults, right? Do whatever you want.
Right.
It doesn't make any difference to me. What I do care about is you having this enormous platform and coming out and shaming other people for like very basic sexual whatever, right? Like just being attracted. Because if you go to like that college, it's like you can't even like look at the opposite sex. You're like always separated, right? So it's like you're creating this environment where like very basic human sort of attraction is punishable, right? And they start to believe bad things about themselves. Thanks, Eric. Have a good night. And then you are behind closed doors engaging in, I don't even know what the word is. Like, it's not deviant, right? Like, I don't care. Do whatever you want. It's just like you're shaming people for just like being human. And then behind closed doors, you're like wilding out in some ways, right? And like, good for you. Like, people should be allowed to do that. But like, also, you shouldn't be then in public, like shitting on other people for just being people. Like that's what bothers me, right? Like, I sincerely do not care what people do in their bedrooms. I'm like, have fun, be safe, like, but don't then like go out in public and be like, you're a terrible person because like sex.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. You know? Anyway, I've talked a lot. Sorry.
Hi.
Anyway. Okay. I should probably wrap it up. Before I go, I've talked a shit ton tonight, so if anybody wants to say anything, I'm happy to listen. But I just wanted to say thanks everybody so much for being here. I'm super excited that I got monetized, even if I am a super boomer and it took me a while to like work out how to like get it to actually work. It's fine, whatever. You know what? No shame. I do want to LOL at this comment that says Heathen Queen also has a simp to hater ratio, which is greater than 1, which probably helps dealing with the denominator a little. You're not wrong. Although I don't consider them simps. I consider them just people who happen to like me. So, you know what? We're all friends here. I appreciate the support. I'm really sorry, Andrew, that I blocked you on accident. Swear it was on accident. I didn't mean it. But yeah, thanks so much everybody for the support and like for all the watch hours and for all the people that like just streamed my shit like on loop so that I could get here. Like, it means a lot to me. I'm super excited. I'm planning on applying to grad school, and so I'm hoping to keep this channel up and running as sort of like a stream of revenue while I'm in school, so that I can also share what I'm learning if I get in anywhere. Fingers crossed.
You'll get
to
in.
sort of the general public, just like all of that, right? So like I haven't really talked a lot about it, but I'm hoping that there will be bigger and greater and better things for this channel, and that I just appreciate y'all for like helping build it up and for always having my back. I love y'all. Don't make it fucking weird. Just kidding. Anyway, if any of y'all want to say anything before we go, please feel free.
Fuck Christian nationalism.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. I remember. Like, comment, subscribe, make baby Jesus cry, as Vice Rhino would say, or whoever it is. And like, let's do this again soon. Maybe not at the last minute.
And go order Daddy Bowen and Daddy Seidel's books.
Order their books. I don't have a book yet. When I do, you can order mine. But for now, order Josh's and Andrew's and anybody else's? I don't remember. Yeah. All right. On that note,
okay.
Order. Whose book is that? One Nation Under God.
This is about Christian nationalism and
okay.
how basically they used Christian nationalism to attempt to destroy FDR's New Deal. So
Cool. Yeah, then that one too. Also, I just noticed there's a private chat, so like, sorry I missed all your messages.
Okay, it was me being like, Nitty, tell me about this cat. It's beautiful.
OA is the fabulous movie star known as girl number one. I don't know what that means, but I agree. You are a fabulous movie star. Thank you for all the congratulations. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for supporting me. I feel perpetually humbled and just incredibly lucky to have sort of like stumbled into this community of just like really wonderful people. And it's an honor and a pleasure to knock the Christians down a few notch on behalf of everyone, you know? But really, I when I step back and think about the last couple of years, like the last 2 years, never in a million, trillion, billion years would have thought that like I would be popular on the internet. And that I would be popular on the internet for talking about like the Bible, right? And Christianity. Like I could never have predicted this ever. And even if I would have found that out, if I would have known that, the fact that like I've stumbled into some really amazing friendships, and not only friendships, but like connections with just brilliant people and scholars that are just incredibly generous and kind and want to help and want to be like want to engage. It's just I'm just very humbled by the fact that like because I deconstructed and like read a bunch of stuff, and because I like am like halfway funny sometimes for some reason, like people like me, and like I just hope that I can give back to the community like all that it's given to me. So yeah, thank you. You guys are the best. Snarkus healing. Well, I'm here for it, you know.
Dude, I say that all the time, that like as someone who like for the first like 25 years of my life, I was told to, you know, like treat people the way, you know, like to turn the other cheek and, you know, everything. Like it's just fucking cathartic watching you go after these scumbags sometimes, or it's just like, yeah, like
I mean, yeah, I feel like I have been given a significant amount of privilege in this life. And I, for better or for worse, like my feelings, vibranium, like I don't care. So like the ability to sort of maybe stand in front of some people or like just sort of push back against people that feel so free to harm others with their beliefs or their words or their theology or their whatever, like, I am sure that oftentimes I can come across as arrogant, and I get that, but I think largely I'm just trying to use the sort of privilege that's been given to me, and the fact that like, you know, I don't perhaps get my feelings hurt maybe as easily as other people, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like some people are more sensitive, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those of us that just are, for whatever reason, you know, have the benefit of not being that way, and in some cases it's a detriment, but like in this scenario, right, like I just feel like all of you, like all of the people the church has wounded, all of the people religion has hurt or traumatized or whatever, like all of you are valid, and all of you deserve to be seen and heard and loved and valued, and like all of these things. And I feel like so often the loudest voices are the people in the church still that want to tell people that have been harmed that like actually it's their fault, actually they need to do something different, actually they need to like X, Y, or Z, actually it's just they're failing, right? And like that shit gets under my skin, and I see the damage that it does to people. I see the damage that it does to people that are trying to leave the church, that are trying to heal. And even those that are trying to heal in a way that allows them to maintain some semblance of faith. And like, I have no problem with that. No problem with that. But these people that seem to think they get to make the rules, that they get to say whatever they want, that they get to act however they want, that they get to like decide what's right for everybody. Like, I don't know. All right, keep that same energy. Because like, you're just hurting people, and I can't, it just doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm on a whole tirade. Left food. Thank you. I honestly, like, if I'm ever in a bad mood or I'm like, stressed about something, I just go on Twitter and find someone and just unload. And then I like get off and I'm like, I feel better. My therapist is like, how do you relax? And I'm like, well, if you must know, like, I roast people on the internet. No, but in any event, sorry, I'm just sort of rambling because I love y'all so much, and I really do feel privileged and just humbled every day by the amount of people that honestly have my back, and I'm just like, they like don't even really know me, right? Like, it's very, sorry, I'm getting emotional and like weird now, but like, it's just a very special thing, right? To know that there's so many people that like support what you're doing or like support you, and that would go to bat for you for like just because like that really like is wild to me. How if I say like this person is a fuck, how many people will be like, all right, like we're just going there. And so like, yeah, and like even all the things that like going to the Better Conference and like doing all this stuff where we're just like, I don't have the finances to do this. Like the Better Conference, I told people about. I didn't have the finances for it. They wanted me to speak there. I was like, I want to go, but like I just don't have the money. 2 days, in 2 days, people donated like $2,000, paid for my plane ticket, my hotel. Maybe not exactly that much, but they covered my plane ticket, they covered my hotel, and they covered my food, and like. It's just like, it's just humbling. I don't know. It's just very humbling. So I want y'all to know that like I appreciate it more than I can say. Angry Atheist said they just broke their donation, Sherry. Thank you. Hey, we're all poor here. I'm not joking. I mean, maybe not you guys. I don't know. I am. But like, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna stop talking. I just want you guys to know that I really love y'all so much, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without you. And don't make it weird, okay? Just kidding. No. Thank you all. Let's do it again soon. I'm gonna cry for a little bit because like I just love you guys so much. So yeah. Thanks for being here. Thanks for some impromptu hangout. I know it was super last minute, but like, I'm really glad we did it.
Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime. But maybe plan it. I'll plan it. Maybe I'll plan it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to attempt to sleep so I can get up and work out in the morning, but like, 15 minutes. All right. Love y'all. Night.
Night. She just like left.
She's like gone.
Broadcast. That was should be the end of the video. Is me laughing my ass off.